All right, I think we'll have audio going through now to live stream and get some pretty faces on the screen. There we go. Hooray! Um, Welcome everyone to the live stream. We're going to be talking about the 12-week MattePaint course. Um, Here I have Alex with me. He's a environment supervisor from visual effects
I
for
think we'll
many
have audio
years.
going through now to
And
live stream.
I need to actually
And
mute the live stream. Yeah, we're just here to answer any of your questions. Please drop any messages in the YouTube live stream chat or in our Discord server. If you are in our Discord server and you're watching from YouTube, you can always jump in to the voice channel. And you'll hear this a bit more live. We're going to be sharing our screens in the Discord server as well, so you can sort of just tune in on Discord if you want. So with that said, I'm going to share my screen in Discord. And Alex, why don't you just start, Alex, with an introduction about yourself, and actually I guess I should probably introduce myself as well to anyone who doesn't know. I am one of the founders of MattePaint, and I came from a environments background as well. It looks like maybe our video has stopped. Just a second.
yes,
Discord and um, just give us a second, see if I can fix whatever's happening with the video. Seems to be. Ah, there we go. Looks like it's come back. Yeah. I started MattePaint because I was frustrated with looking for reference on sites like Flickr and Google, and not coming up with anything that was really usable. And then we started the MattePaint Academy, which was really just to give back to other students trying to get into the industry, because I know that it was tough for both me and Alex and many people out there to actually break into the industry. So that's where we've sort of ended up here with the 12-week MattePaint course. Um, so uh, we uh, we were hesitant initially to develop a course like this. I know that the video has frozen again. I'm not entirely sure why. So I'm just going to keep just describing, and I'll see if I can figure it out. So we were initially hesitant to develop a course because as far as we're concerned, there's so many options out there for different courses that are around the same length. The
Daniel.
Yeah, I can see that it's not actually Discord, but I think I've figured out what it is. We'll see if it comes back. So long story short, Alex and I started talking, and we realized that there was actually a chance that there would be some interest in a course that actually prepares you for the industry. And that means a lot of what we teach in the 12 weeks that we've designed is focused on teaching you the base skills that you actually need for that junior level role. So I'll let Alex do his introduction, and then he can sort of start the initial description of the course.
So, everybody, my name is Alex or Alex. I map environment artist, and I worked just as an artist. Worked lead. The
Alex,
last
your mic is just dropping out a little bit. If you could.
oh,
Uh,
a little close. And my last couple of positions was I was environment supervisor, and I started um, professionally, say like big studios. I started back in 12, and overall matte painting I started at 2005 to 7, and I came originally the graphic design and web design. Don't have a tradition like I don't have traditional.
Can you try a
So
little bit closer, Alex? You're just still dropping out a little bit.
everything I basically learned. I'm self-taught and trying. Yes.
Hang on, you've dropped out fully now.
Oh, how about now?
Yep, if you just try putting the mic right in front of your mouth, and we'll see if that works. And otherwise, maybe turn
Is
off
it?
Crisp in Discord.
Is it better now?
Yep.
No. Okay, great. Yeah. So basically self-taught, and that's the part of also why I was interested into creating the course, because when I was trying to move, in the industry from say junior level to just a mid-level or senior level, it was not enough information. It was a couple of just videos, mostly on Naman. It was CGMA course, which is at that point, I think it was CG Society course, and that's pretty much it. And that's why I feel like nowadays we have way more information, but it still needs to be sort of like sorted out, and it needs to be structurized in a way. So that's why I was also interested in creating the course, and just decided, me and Conrad, we decided just to do it on the MattePaint base, because the MattePaint is not just a resource, it's also an academy. So we like there's a lot of educational material there, and we're trying to teach and promote matte painting from more industry's point of view, not just from artistic point of view in a way. So that's why, again, we're doing this. And to start the introduction of the course, I put like 3 questions usually people ask. So with the course, like first of all, like who is this course for? And this course could be either A, for the junior artist, it could be for the graduates or students, it could be for hobbyists, and also could be for professionals who are switching either field or the discipline. So if, let's say, we had people who are in industry but in different field, like they're compositors or they're effects artists or they're maybe modelers, and they want to switch, or they just want to have it as a secondary skill. For example, for compositing, it's pretty common, same as like vice versa for the DMP. It's sort of good to have a compositing skill. So in this case, it's a pretty broad range. The only difference is what's your main goal and what's your essentially a starting point. So the course is accommodating for pretty much every level. Like, it doesn't really matter if you're a professional or not. The only thing matters if you're interested in matte painting from the point of view of the industry, not from the point of view, hey, I'm creating polished photo bash images. So that's the one thing. The second question usually people ask, like, what do you need? What do I need to know so before I start? And in our case, because it's a beginner course, only thing you need to do is you need to know the basics of the Photoshop. The more you know, obviously, the better, but just the basic of the Photoshop would be enough, sufficient enough for you to start. And as we go with the course, during the weeks, you will pick up the skills or the tips. You will pick up Nuke because more than half, I think, the previous students on this course, they didn't have any Nuke experience, and it wasn't a huge problem. So we sort of figured it out the way to just introduce it. We're probably going to do a little bit, maybe slightly different this time, but in general, you just don't need to be familiar or super experienced with Nuke. And the other thing is, the only thing you need to have enough time to commit to do the exercises, watch the videos, and be pretty much engaged with the course. And I know it's and everybody is, we're aware of that, but the better, like, if the longer you stick, and it has to be technically speaking till the end, the better would be your experience and money well spent. But overall, it's just your interest in matte painting, also interest in matte painting from the professional point of view again. So it's not like we're making it as a as an art course. And it basically leads me to the third question, which usually people ask for. What's the difference between our course and like other courses, say from CGMA or from maybe Learn Squared or from any other Gumroad pre-recorded? So the difference is we are more technically focused on the DMP. We're focused more on the production side of it. We're focused more on the studio, and we're trying to provide, to a certain degree, a studio experience for the students who are, or for the people who are entering the industry and not familiar with the studio workflow. So we kind of try to introduce that sort of an experience and the mindset you would need to have as an artist, as a junior artist, if you're entering. And what we're not doing is we're not making you a better artist in this regard. So say if you compare our course and CGMA course, I would say if you take our course first, that would be better just to take CGMA course, because it will give you better base and you can concentrate more on artistic side, because we are covering your technical side from the beginning till the end pretty much. And like in everything you start, unless you figure out the technical parts, your creative part would be always as a second skill, and it would take you more time, probably more frustration with this. And in general, it's just, this is the way it goes. So that's why we also doing this course, because at this point there is nothing on pretty much on the market aside of specific trainings from the studios. Like say MPC has an academy, Framestore has an academy, DNEG has a sort of an academy, but they're all for people who are entering as a students, and there is also limited amount of pretty much seats and everything. And there's nothing else. The rest is just being, do you want to be an artist? And here's the, matte painting side of it. But we're doing more as I would say it's a pre-studio training, probably. We can call it even that. And that's our main focus. So
Yeah.
that's in a nutshell, I think, as an introduction, and just to give you guys an idea what is this all about. That would be, I guess, my take on that.
I would add to that in explaining that if you're choosing between two different courses, for those who find ideas come to you quite naturally, then I would say potentially the CGMA course is a good option, because they will develop that conceptual, compositional, artistic side of your abilities. But a question that I've been asked a fair number of times is, I find a lot of people are struggling to come up with ideas, or struggling to sort of develop that next piece, or struggling with direction, for instance. And to get into, if you're interested in the industry in a professional capacity, to get into the industry, you don't need to be a concept artist level of composite, with your composition. You don't have to come up with new ideas multiple times a day, for instance, like a concept artist would have to. You really have to know how to execute the task at hand, whether it's a CG paint over, whether it's an extension, a plate extension, sky replacement, plate cleanup, any of those sorts of tasks. They're usually quite straightforward in an artistic sense, but the technical side is where most students get caught up. So what one of the byproducts of the 12-week course that we've done is that it will show you, and by the end of the 12 weeks, and in fact by the end of the third week, fourth week, you will know exactly what processes, if you are stuck for an idea and you're still studying, you're still trying to build up your portfolio, you'll know exactly what you need to do to add to your portfolio to improve it to a level that you'll get an industry position. And my my personal opinion on this is that it's it's far better to simply aim to get an industry role than because once you're in an industry role, you will grow leaps and bounds in the first few months. So it's far better, in my opinion, to focus on getting that role than it is to try and become some amazing, the next Raphael Lacoste, or even just trying to focus on your artistic fundamentals and your composition, uh, because you will learn so much in those first few months. And I mean, who doesn't like getting paid to do what you love, right? Like that's the whole point of of this. Um, so with that said, I am going to switch over to the display. So I'm going to put the MattePaint course curriculum on the screen here. So if you're looking to read this after the fact, we'll add a link to this blog post in the description. But you can find it on the MattePaint blog. Or there is the URL. It's just the MattePaint course, and this gives you everything that you should need to know. Alex and I are just really going to go through each week pretty quickly, and if you have any questions, please drop them into the live stream, which I'm just going to pull out to the side here, so I can answer your questions. So I think Alex, I'll kick things off with the first couple of weeks and what we were thinking. Actually, there was a couple of questions in the chat about when does the next one start. The next intake starts on the 30th of this month, which is in 1.5 weeks, and we have 5 spots available at this point. Depending on there are a couple of people who have links to the payment page, so it may go down to 2 or 3. So if you're interested, please don't wait, because we are limited to 20 spots. The first intake we had more, and it was just a little bit too many for Alex and I, and we wanted to try a limit of 20 students. So there's only a few remaining. But if this isn't the right time for you, then we'll be running this again in February next year, because as you'll find out through our explanation in this live stream, we run the course over 14 weeks. So we do weeks 1 to 4, then we have a 1-week break, then we do 5 to 8, we have a 1-week break, and 9 to 12. And the reason for this is that there is quite a lot of content, and here's a breakdown of all the modules for the course. Each of these modules has anywhere up to, I don't know, 5 to 8, maybe 10 videos, varying in lengths, but usually 3 to 4 hours of pre-recorded content each week. Plus, then we have the live streams and all of that. So those weeks, we think, will really give you a chance to just take a breath, do a little bit of a catch up, and not feel too pressured. So to talk about the first 2 weeks, we'll start with the intro and overview here. So each week starts with pre-recorded content, so that becomes available on Tuesdays, which, depending on your time zone, might be Monday or Wednesday. And then we have so that pre-recorded content is whatever techniques and fundamentals you need to know for that particular week. And then on Wednesday we have the assignment video, which is just a briefing of what you have to do for your assignment. And then Thursday we have a assignment live stream, and that live stream is really just about answering any additional questions that you have around the assignment if you're confused about something, if there's something that we need to clarify. Then on Friday, so if I zoom in a little bit here, it's a little bit blurry, but you can see we've got these two modules here are the ones that go live on Tuesday. Then we have the assignment brief, and then here you can see there's an assignment demo. So depending on the week, there's usually an assignment demo, and that comes out just before the weekend. And that's where either Alex or I have gone through the assignment and demonstrated how you can actually do each of the techniques, which becomes much more important as we get into the later stages of the course, where we start doing complicated things like camera tracking or 2D tracking, point cloud generation. The assignment demo is really there to just show you how you could do it if you're super lost, because we know that when you get an assignment like these and you've got no guidance, you can just be sitting there spinning your wheels for quite a while if you get stuck on something, and it can sometimes be something really simple and really easy to explain. So further to that fact is the student community. So as you will all see in our Discord server, if you join, I'll also post the link in the chat in a moment. I'm just going to bring my Discord window over the top here. So we have a private area for the MattePaint course where we run everything to do with the course. So that's announcements, feedback, just general discussion. It works really well because Alex and I are on different time zones. We're about 10 hours apart. So that means that there's almost always one of us online to answer questions and join discussion. We've also got, of course, the main areas of the Discord chat where we and a ton of other people are active, including old Term 1 course participants as well. So if you're not already in the Discord, I'd strongly recommend joining it, even if you don't join the course, because this is from everyone who engages in this group. The feedback that we get is just that it's so supportive and so valuable. So even if you don't join the course, it's probably a really good thing to join, just in a general sense. So I'll post a link in the chat now, and it will be in the description after the live stream. So yeah, so the student community is just that private area that allows Alex and I to know exactly where you guys, where the questions are being asked, and provide feedback and all of that. So it's not just the recorded feedback that we do and the live streams. We're active in that conversation throughout the week. So with giving feedback, we initially tried a live stream feedbacks format where we would jump in and do everyone's feedback in a live stream, but they ended up being 3 to 4 hours each, and we run multiple because there's multiple time zones. So we decided that we'll do a pre-recorded video for each person, and then we'll do a live stream that just answers any extra questions. So that's really efficient for everyone's time, because often your submission of your assignments will have the same kinds of issues, and we're sort of answering the same thing in the live stream, and everyone just has to sit there for 3 hours, and it's boring for everyone. So this way we can do individual feedback. You can watch those, and then you can bring your questions that you have remaining to our live streams. As I said before, we have 2 different time zones that we run these feedback sessions. Depending on the time zones of everyone in the course, we'll figure out the exact timings for those, but we try and space them out as much as possible by, say, 10 hours, so that even if there's one that's not quite perfect timing for you, at least there'll be one available when you're at least awake. Because we all know that, maybe if we're if you are employed, you might be working from home, so you could potentially join and just listen in. So on to the course itself. We have obviously we have the 12 weeks. We've split those into modules, and the idea of the first 2 weeks of the course is to throw you into the deep end with immediately giving you exercises that you may have to complete as a junior matte painter. So some of those are things like plate cleanup. Here you can see that we've actually taken this image here on the left. We've cleaned up the plate here, so we've removed all of the boats, the building over here, all of the people that were sort of scattered around here. You can't quite see them in this image. And then we have replaced the sky here, just the sky with the same mountains. And then we've also done a bit more of an advanced removal of that background mountain against these trees, and placed a new sky and a new background mountain range. So the second week takes the same kind of techniques, but to a much greater level. You're sort of another order of magnitude more complex, where we're going to be putting together a entire basic matte painting where we've cut out the background, added some extra mountains, new sky, and added this foreground element here. And for each of these weeks, we give multiple exercises, and they vary in complexity. So if you find yourself doing this exercise and finding it a bit easy, there's always exercise 2 and 3 that you can stretch your abilities on. So we try to have a range of exercises just in case there's somebody who really excels. Like the base exercises are designed so that anyone with a familiarity of Photoshop and the time to actually watch the videos will be able to accomplish the exercise. But sometimes we get people who are either early juniors in the industry or advanced students who are pretty much on the cusp of getting an industry job, and they want to push themselves a little bit further. So we've got that extra mile that you can go to. So at the end of week 2, we then go into, we sort of take a step back. So week 1 and 2 is just throw you right in the deep end, give you all these different tasks, and get you used to the experience of what a matte painter in a junior position would have to achieve. And then in week 3, we take a step back and we just do a week of looking at things like composition, color theory, perspective, atmospheric perspective, and other sort of technical and artistic fundamentals that we thought were important for students to know. So it's not a super in-depth, like, you know, here's how you create your leading lines and rule of thirds and things like that. It's more just what you would need to understand for the junior role of a matte painter. So I'm gonna start answering some questions on the chat. And so somebody has asked, Alexandra Reyes has said, I noticed all the assignments are in sunny/daylight scenarios. Is there a purpose of that? Dusk or night scenarios are too complicated. It's kind of the opposite. I don't think there was a particular reason why the exercises are all in daylight scenarios. Nighttime and dusk scenarios are a little bit less common, I would say, but when they do come around, they're usually hero shots. Well, often they'll be hero shots. So I think as a junior matte painter, you're more likely to be working on the daylight shots than you are on the sort of sunset ones, simply because of the usage of those sunset shots, unless of course you're working on something like Peter Pan, where so much of the film takes place at night. Then of course you're going to be working with night shots, but I don't think there was a particular reason why we focused on daylights. And then
I
Ion,
think if I just want to add a little bit to that, I think also there is, I think, would be a technical reason, not because it's complicated. It's less right now less common to find good resources for the nighttime because nighttime requires better gear essentially to take photos. So if you have to work with the good, elements and references, and it's just it goes this way. But also, yeah, it's pretty
yeah,
like way less common, but
that's a good point.
both ways, yeah.
Ian has asked, can we save the videos like YouTube and see it in offline mode? Not at this moment. It's not possible to watch the videos in offline mode. You'll have to have an active internet connection, although it will buffer. So if you have issues with connectivity, then that shouldn't be a problem. So Alex, I'll let you take it from week 4.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I will switch to week 4. I don't know. We should probably mention because that wasn't clear the first on the first run of the course. The videos are not permanently available to you. They are available for essentially there would be 14 plus 2, 16 weeks, I assume, right?
12 plus 2, so 14 weeks. Oh, hang on. Sorry. Yes, you get
Yeah,
we give a 2-week grace period, so you get
yeah,
16 weeks. Yeah.
so it's 16 weeks in total for you to have an access to the videos, and the reason for that, because it's easier from the technical point of view to run the course. And the second thing, if you would have a limit when you need to watch the videos, you will watch it. Otherwise, 80%, 90% of the people will never finish watching it because it's always on the back burner. I will do it next week. I will do it next today. I will do it maybe later. And it just never happens. So it's also works in a way like you just essentially, more motivated to follow the course, and you should be following the course as much as possible up to date. I mean, I know sometimes life happens and everything, but the more, the more actual you're staying on the course and the more up to date you are, then obviously the better. So I think CGMA also, for example, does not provide lifetime access. I think Learn Square does, but Learn Square has a little bit different, it's more mixed, I would say. So we are not doing that. It's just for you to be aware because I don't think we mentioned that enough in the first time, and some people were quite
Yeah.
surprised by the end. So they're just saying that. So on week 4, essentially, the week 4 is we're sort of starting week 1 and 2, but now with all awareness of the techniques and all the fundamentals. So now you're gonna go and you're essentially gonna do the same thing. And trust me, when you do a junior work, you essentially doing the same thing over and over and over again until you just become better and better, and until you just knocks everything out from pretty much not the first try but pretty close to that. So we're still doing the main topics and techniques is plate extension and transformation. We're using the clone tool, the perspective cloning. We're talking about water reflections. We're talking about light and atmosphere integration. But overall, it's pretty much the same idea, but on a little bit more extended or difficult sort of scope. Then you're gonna do not just 2 images or like just remove or replace the sky. Is gonna be a little bit more complicated, and you would just use the knowledge from and your experience from the first and the second week, and whatever you're gonna learn in the third week as well. And I think after week 4, this is where is our first break, as far as I
Yeah.
remember, right?
Yep.
So then you would have a week to catch up with all your outstanding sort of tasks, exercises, the videos you haven't had time to watch. Say if you were busy with work and things, and we had only 1 week 1 week break on the first round, but it seems like it's better to have two, so we decided to basically split it in this way. And this just do by doing so we are able we're able to catch up with old stuff and have more essentially time for people to ask questions and try maybe different things. After that, we go into module 3, which is full 2D environments and CG integration. It's more about of the CG integration with the plate, and that's another part of the work you're going to do as a junior quite a lot, and it's mostly integrating pre-rendered elements, CG elements with the live plate, and our project, the exercise 1, for example, that shows the same idea what's going to happen in the studio. So you have a plate photography, and then you have renders, and then you need to integrate your renders into the plate photography. You most likely going to do a lot of weathering. You're going to do a lot of painting out, repetition of the texture. You can try to integrate CG elements with the blacks and highlights, with the colors, adding some details, maybe some changing something, but most likely it's just the augmentation and overpaint of CG render. And it's coming more and more with every film pretty much. And the more and more of these tasks are junior enough tasks. So if you have a basic, or if you have a knowledge of Photoshop, and if you have a technical skills, then you would be doing those tasks for, pretty often, and that's what we are sort of introducing here as well. So one of the tasks are easier task. The second task, we don't have a picture here, but it's a little bit more advanced and requires a little bit more of a patience, I think, in general, and some figuring out how to do and how to solve some problems. But overall, they're both on the same subject, which is integration of CG render, working with the AOV passes as well, which is pretty common. And so you would have an understanding, if you're not familiar, you would have an understanding what it is, what they're for, how to use them, which one you need, which one you don't need, and the ways basically dealing with that. And then we go into week 6, and week 6 introduces us to cleanup of urban environment and set extension. So week 1 and 2, the one exercise in week 1, which is Conrad showed, there is a basic cleanup, and usually on organic environments, cleanup is easier than on urban environments because it's the nature is more chaotic than cityscapes. The cityscapes has a lot of repetitive elements. They have a stronger feel of the perspective, sense of scale, everything. So there is, technically speaking, less room for cheating, which is organic environments have more sort of a forgiving nature to it. So that's why we're doing a urban environment and doing the cleanup if we go to the week 6. So there is an example of essentially what the cleanup is you have to remove all the moving elements or potentially moving elements from the plate in order just to replace or just to remove it from set. So that's what we're doing, and it's a good exercise on how to work with this technique. What do you need to know, and how to deal with those type of the tasks. And it's also sort of a pre. It's the first part of the exercise, because the second part of the exercise on week 7, using the same plates but already cleaned up and prepped, we're going to change the background, and we're going to transform one location into another location. This is 100% up to you. We're going to provide you with the elements, with the references, and you would have a plate, but you can go ahead and create and construct your own, essentially, composition. I think Samuel, asked in Discord chat, the images we produce each week different to the images produced from the first course, and it's yes and no. So you were gonna have the same plate, but you would have a suggested elements you can work with, but you also can bring either your elements from your own library or the library you acquired somewhere. You would also have a subscription to MattePaint gallery, which is you can choose another elements from that as well. I would encourage you to do 2 steps if you feel like you are experienced enough and whatever we're providing, it's too easy, you can go and change completely environment and do your own thing. In this way, the challenge for you would be, because you wouldn't see the final result, so you wouldn't know where to go, and essentially it was more up to you, and that would actually shows your actual level and your understanding. Because when you're following the image from the course, that's one thing, but and we're basically providing you the steps because we're teaching. But say in a normal studio environment, nobody gonna show you, okay, here's how the final DMP should look like, just go and do it. It would be like, hey, we have this plate, we need the city, you have to do it. And then you go and do it, but it's all up to you. So you have to do your decisions. You have to essentially, we're teaching not just the technicality of the Photoshop, but we're teaching on how to choose the right references, what to pay attention to when you're choosing the references, how to break down the scene and see where the clues about like what's going on, and what to basically tie to. Because it showed in the first run, it sounds easier than it is, and most of the people, they need at least second or the third run just to start getting used to and getting to understand what's happening. So that's why this exercise is also probably the most common exercise for not just a heavy VFX movie, but it's a lot of this kind of tasks going on a lot of on TV and streaming, and some just mid-level effects. But it also goes with the big effects. For example, the whole Ant-Man and the Wasp was pretty much on extending and transforming one city into San Francisco. So it's the ground level we're keeping, but everything above the ground level has to be replaced, and that's sort of what we're trying to implement here as well. So finishing the 7 week, we are entering essentially with the week 8, and it's the time when we're going to introduce you to Nuke. So if you are familiar with Nuke, then that would be easier week for you. If you are completely not familiar with Nuke, that would be the time for you to start learning it and just get your wrap your head around of what's happening. So the first 2 exercises on week 8, they are fairly straightforward. So we're talking about essentially what is this? The basic composition integration in Nuke, matching blacks and white levels, lens distortion, overscan. So we're covering all the technical sort of like points of how matte painters using Nuke. So it's not like Nuke from the compositing point of view; it's the Nuke from matte painting point of view. Like, and at this point, it's only 2D. We're using 2D track in Nuke, so you know what it is and how to use it, and what's the limitations and what's the advantages. But also, again, there's nothing into 3D realm. So we have one exercise with the lock camera, and another exercise we have with the movable nodal camera. So you would learn what's the nodal camera means and all that. So it's all, again, technical parts. And in week 8, you can either use provided elements, or you can go and create your own elements if you have time and desire to do so as well. So in this way, your end piece, again, would look different from
Yeah.
pretty much every exercise designed that way. Yeah.
And just further to that point, I want to just really outline that if you don't have any 3D experience and you're not comfortable in 3D, and or whatever, if that whole realm is really like daunting to you, then that's completely fine, because everything that we provide, or everything that you're required to do for the course, is provided for you from the 3D sense. So you don't have to do any 3D modeling. You can, as Alex said, you can if you feel comfortable with that and you really want to stretch yourself. But for instance, here we have a castle extension being added. The render is provided for you, and you don't have to do any kind of 3D modeling or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And so by the end of the week 4, that's where we have our second break. And the reason for that, again, to catch up on all of your outstanding work, but also for people who are new to Nuke. to have a little bit more time, basically to know and to learn the software. Because as it showed us on the first run, people who were familiar, they were fine. People who were not familiar or haven't used Nuke at all previously were a little bit more, under pressure, because 1 week, technically speaking, if you're 100% new, it's still enough, but you have to spend a lot of time. And again, like, I don't remember how many you said, at least 10 hours a week, right, Conrad? I don't remember what
No,
was the
not
number.
10 hours. You'll need around 3 hours throughout the week to watch the videos, and then probably
Oh
another
yeah,
three hours for the exercises. And
yeah,
it does depend on your natural or your starting level of skill,
yeah.
and it also actually depends on how consistent you are, because
Hmm.
if you're consistent, you'll improve week to week, and you won't have this buildup of challenge.
Yeah,
If you drop out for a couple of weeks and come back, you may end up feeling like, hey, I need to really have to catch up here. But I think that with the 2 single week breaks that we have, you'll have that opportunity to catch up, because we know that everyone has things prop up. Maybe there's lockdown, or you get pulled into work, and work becomes busy. So that's why we've added those extra weeks.
yep. And after that break, we're going into week 9. And week 9, that's where we start with the moving footages. And we have 2 exercises. So for week 9, we have a drone camera, and we're using the footage from, it's pretty straightforward footage, which is the camera just travels from one point to another point. And the extension we're doing, or map painting we're doing, it's less about parallax. It's more about how to do the tracking and how to do the integration with the plate. And tracking, I know in the industry, most likely you're not going to use it on a daily basis, because you're part of the pipeline, and in other departments will do that job for you. But on day-to-day shots, there might be several occasions when it's good to know, or and it's really helpful to do your own tracks. If, say, it's only supposed to be a matte painting with the, say, I don't know, tracked camera and everything, but you just need to do some additional steps. It's really nice to know how to do it, and like what to do and how to implement it in just everyday tasks. Because I've been asking, I'm sorry, I've been answering questions about that, and sometimes it's just nice to know that. Because if you only focused on your uh, on your part of the painting, or your part of the maybe projection, but you need to do some slightly extra steps to help yourself out instead of going and asking other departments to do so, then it's just, your goes plus into your experience, and also smooths the whole show experience for you as well.
Yeah.
So, and yep,
Yeah, no, I was just going to add to that it's knowing a little bit of the supporting roles that your role relies on really helps to fill in the global picture. And as Alex said, sometimes there are little things that you might need to do to just adjust a track, especially in the smaller studios where things may not be perfect, or everything may not be prepared quite as much as a bigger studio. So it's really handy to know those
yep.
extras.
And again, we are working with the one footage, but we'll provide you links for and other footages for you to consider. And if you and they're completely different. And if you want to do, it's with the same technique, you can do pretty much whatever you want, either with this one or just with the footages you like more. It could be sunsets. It could be, if you want to do night shots, okay, do the night shots. There's no problem with that at all. It's just, it shows how versatile could be your work, and it's also shows the technique could be applied to anything. As soon as you know it, you can do pretty much everything you want with this. It doesn't need to be tied just to this shot or just to this technique. And finishing week 9, then we're moving into week 10. And in week 10, we're doing multi-frame camera projection setup with the CG element. We're doing overpaint, and we're doing 2.5D projection. So the exercise we have is the Castle, which is the render frames to project would be provided to you. It will also would be provided reflection paths, would be provided the grass path, for example, and trees path, and it would be split in two. So first exercise is essentially again on the camera tracking, and I know it sounds well, we did it in week 9. Trust me, the more you do, every shot is different. The more shots you have tracked, the more experience you have, and you know where to tackle basically the problems with this. And another thing would be the overpaint of CG, how to do that, what to consider, what to do with like, with the techniques if you want to do it like with the different sort of elements, how to make your life a little bit easier and all that kind of stuff. And additionally, there is some studio structure and studio pipeline conversation going to be shown to you, and some tips and tricks on 360 HDRIs and 6-packs projections on the tool sets and on the QCs as well. So that would conclude all the training on the software. So the Nuke Photoshop, we're not touching Maya in this because it would add just a couple of more weeks, but essentially that would be enough for you because it would be already 14 weeks, and it's more than 3 months, and we don't want to just stretch it even more because then would be lesser chance for you to finish everything.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
So
yeah.
after week 10, we still have some assignments left. The week 10 sort of closes out that that new knowledge section, whereas what week 11 and 12 do is we give you a little bit of time to start catching up on the previous assignments that you may have missed, because each assignment for each week, we when you submit it, you want to get either a CBB or a final status on those assignments. And what CBB means is it could be better. It stands for could be better, and it's an industry term that we use. And basically, if you're working on a shot and you submit it for review and you get a CBB, it means the supervisor is happy enough for it to go into the next stages, and your task is to just go on to the next shot that you have. But if you have a spare moment, go back and address the final notes. And usually those final notes on a CBB status would be something like an edge is a little bit too sharp, or there's a grade that they want you to slightly adjust. They're usually very technical and very small adjustments that don't necessarily need to be done, or won't be picked up in the final film. So you want to get to one of those statuses. So you want to be going back to each week and completing those assignments that you may have missed. From week 11 to 12, we have a secret assignment that we won't be telling you what it is until you get to week 11. It's a fun one. And it will fill up weeks 11 and 12, and the rest of the content for week 11 and 12 is focused mostly around industry discussion and industry preparation. So we collected a absolute ton of questions from students around like what sort of stuff should I put in my show reel? What should I not put in my show reel? How do I get the attention of a studio? What is the interviewing process like? What's the first month of a junior matte painter's life like? All of those sorts of questions we collected, and I sat down with head of DNEG's head of department, Nick Marshall, and discussed the various questions. We split those up into little 5 to 10 minute videos, and that's pretty much the focus of weeks 11 and 12, where we just talk about those sort of industry questions. We we do also talk about all of these questions throughout the course. Alex and I, during the live streams, will often, if there's no questions to fill up the hour of the live stream feedback, then we usually just open it up to any sort of question that you might have. We just sit around and chat sometimes. Sometimes we complain about about the industry. We're quite candid, and we are quite happy to answer even the most random of questions when there's time remaining. The students from the first intake really said that this content was phenomenal. It does actually give you an insight to the industry that I haven't seen elsewhere. Nick has been head of department for many years for DNEG, and he started as a runner, which is probably the most entry-level job that you can have in the industry. A runner is basically somebody who goes and delivers mail, or they make coffee. They just anything that's lying around to be done. They'll do it, and it's usually for anyone. It could be for a supervisor, it could be for a lead, or it could be for the head of the studio. They're just running around doing all sorts of things. So week 12, again, similar kind of conversational things. Things like, what's it like in your first month in the industry? As well as like artistic development questions, like how do you go from being a mid-level artist to a senior? We also talk about negotiating pay, freelance work, remote work, all of that. There are a lot of misconceptions about the industry with regards to some of those questions, so we sort of resolve all of that and answer all of those questions. The screenshot that you see here is a little bit of an extension exercise that I don't expect many people to fully understand, but it's a little technique on how to take a sequence of shots. So let's say you do go into a studio job and you have a whole sequence of cameras that looks in various different directions of the single location. So in those environments, in those tasks, you'll be needing to create a full 360-degree matte painting that has whatever the director wants in the background, whether it's sand dunes, whether it's mountains or a city or sky, or whatnot. And in week 12, we look at ways that you can figure out exactly what areas of that environment your cameras are going to be looking at. It's something that's only really seniors will most of the time only seniors will know of these techniques, and even then a lot of seniors are not familiar with this technique, and so we break down exactly how to go about doing a task like that. And it's really, the whole point of it is just to expose you to what is possible in the role of a matte painter, and not necessarily to say, hey, this is what you need to know and what you need to do for a junior position. So the reason why you want to get to a CBB or final position of your exercises for each week is that for those who complete at least 80% of the exercises for the course, they are provided with a gold award. So these are just examples with Alex's name in there. And the reason we have these two awards is that we wanted to provide at least an award for everyone to say, or it's not, I guess not necessarily an award, but a certificate to say, hey, I went through the MattePaint course. But if we provide that to everyone, then all that the certificate would mean is, hey, I paid money for this thing. That's literally it. Uh, it doesn't say what you completed or how well you did. So we came up with these two levels of awards. So if you get 80% completion, you'll get the gold award, and that's the one that you want. The silver award is awarded to those who complete 50% of the course assignments, which across the course of the 14 weeks, or 16 really, should be pretty easy. And we didn't see anyone fall below that level in the first intake. And we've also found that studios have immediately noticed and taken notice of that gold award. And most of, I think we gave out 9 from the first intake, and I think 8 of those people are either employed or already employed, or going to be employed. So it's a really it's something that you should definitely be striving towards, and you will be able to make it if you put the effort in. You will be able to make it. So there's a little bit of extra information from some of the previous students through here, and I'm going to read Mark's comments here because I think they're really on point. He says, it's July, but I can already call this my best investment of 2021. It's just such a rich, in-depth course focused on the junior DMP duties, tasks, and everyday problems. You can read the rest of these, but since I have Mark here in the voice chat, Mark, I'd love to just get you to unmute your microphone and get your extra thoughts if you're there. Mark might actually be there. He is.
Hey guys.
Hey Mark, thanks for
Hey.
giving your input. I just want to maybe have you say how you felt about the course and what you got out of it.
It was a really, really cool experience. I learned so much. Before, like earlier, you guys said, there are a lot of artists who are changing industries. I was an FX artist, and now I'm a DMP artist, and I really had no idea, regarding the DMP, the junior tasks of the job, and well, I'm happy to say that I think that I got it. I mean, it really covers everything from the simple stuff like, I don't know, a tree cutout, which is not really that simple, but still, to really like in-depth cleanups. How to recreate small details on images and stuff like that. It's a really complete experience and a complete package.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for that. I think the the overall sentiment was the same. Like we were actually quite surprised at how positive the response was, particularly because when we go back to when Alex and I were talking about it in April and we are talking about developing it, we were both like, do people really want this? Like we know what is needed for the junior role, but based on all of the other courses that are available, we were thinking like people aren't going to want to do this because people want to have a pretty image to put on ArtStation and get on the like trending page or the front page of ArtStation. Um, but I think what once you finish this course, what you'll realize is that it gives you we give you the tools to iterate on your skills to the point where you can then create those stunning images, and they will actually be a technical level that really surpasses a lot of the other images that you see on there. Um, so I guess that leads us to the final points, which of course, what is the cost of the course? It's $8.99, and it includes 12 months access to the MattePaint library, which you will want and need for the course, and that's worth $348. We, of course, at this point, it's only a week and a half away till the start of the course, so it doesn't really make much of a difference, but if you're interested in paying for the February intake, we're happy to activate your subscription as soon as you want, which means that you can actually access all of the MattePaint Academy, all of the standard content that we have there, and you can start downloading images and practicing and getting ready for it. So I won't read through all of this because you can always visit the blog and read it yourself. But I will say that towards the at the end of the course, you'll have at least 6 to 8 final images. You could have more because there are multiple exercises for each week, and you could also, as Alex and I both said, you could go and find other images and try and like really push yourself each week, especially if your current situation in life is, hey, I'm not employed for whatever reason, and I'm here, I can learn. You could really just sit there, treat it like a full-time job for a couple of months, and you could do so much. Really, it's the tasks of a junior matte painter are very much the same, and it's just about knowing how to do it the most efficient way, and getting it done as quickly as possible. And that's ultimately how I got my not my break into the industry, but how I got from junior to senior was by completing the tasks that I was given in as quick a time as possible, getting them approved as fast as I could, so that I was sitting there and saying, where's the next thing? Like, give me more, just keep giving me more. And it ended up that after 3 months of being a junior, working at Rising Sun in Australia, the supervisor just, I mean, I learnt this after the fact, but he decided to just give me something that he knew I couldn't do, and it was a hero matte painting, opening of the sequence, aerial shot of the city, and I spent 6 weeks on it, I think, which as a junior was like, doesn't cost them very much. That's a long time, but it doesn't cost them very much. But I got it done. It was my first hero matte painting, and it ended up being the first shot of the trailer, and it ended up going into the Cinefx magazine as well. So it's, if you're constantly taking those tasks that you're given and just completing them in record time, you will very quickly find yourself with more advanced work, and that's the whole purpose of this course, is to get you to a point where if you were to be interviewed by a studio, you would be able to confidently show them that you are really efficient with the basic tasks, and then when you actually get into that role, you're just flying.
Yeah, that's pretty much, that's on point. Essentially, what's the difference between, from the different sort of a size difference from the junior and senior artist is, both of them, they have knowledge, junior and senior, but senior artist has experience, and experience will come over time, but we'll give you the knowledge to start with, and then you just more and more practice every day, and that's will get you there in pretty much, good amount of time. Depends how much you spend on yourself, essentially, developing that kind of stuff. Yeah. Samuel asked, how many hours a week would you say is likely to be required for each weekly task? Yeah, 5-7 hours a week. Yeah, that would be enough. I mean, 1 or 2 hours a day, or like maybe every other day, plus whatever you can do on the weekends.
Yeah,
That should be
and
enough.
that also leads me back to the reason for the structure of when things are released is the idea is that by Thursday morning that you have your assignment and you can either work Thursday and Friday and get it all done before the weekend, or if you're, say, working full time, you have a family, you can do it on the weekend. So that way we've got, say, on average 4 days for the assignment between the assignment briefing and the feedback. So you have 2 days during the week and 2 days on the weekend. So Bel Rodrigo says it's 12. He's asked, is it 12 weeks of recorded lessons? Will the content be released each week by week by a tutor? What software is needed to take the course? Good questions. Actually, we haven't really talked about software and hardware, but to answer your first question, yes, it's 12 weeks of recorded lessons. They are released week by week. They are released through the MattePaint Academy. So there's a actually this is it. The course. So each of these, you won't see all of these. This is the master view, but you will see each of these weeks getting released as we progress through the course, and you'll get access to all of the previous weeks as well. So they don't disappear after they've been released. So then the software and hardware, I strongly recommend having a Wacom Intuos or something like that, a graphics tablet. It doesn't have to be Wacom. The reason for that is that you wouldn't paint on a canvas with a brick. You need a paintbrush. There's a dexterity to using a Wacom and using a pen. The rest of the hardware side, you could probably do this on a laptop. In fact, I think there were some students who did use laptops. But of course, maybe in the later stages when we start looking at nuke and projections, some of this may be a little bit slower for you to accomplish, but still very doable. As far as software goes, the only softwares that you'll need would be Photoshop, which is available, I think, for like $20 a month as a subscription, and Nuke. Really, that's it. And Nuke has a personal learning edition, which is free, or a non-commercial version, and they also allow you to sign up for a 30-day trial. I would strongly recommend, if you haven't already signed up and used that trial, I would strongly recommend waiting till, say, week 8 or maybe even week 9 to sign up for the trial.
Would be probably better.
Yeah, because some of the techniques that we go over with cameras and tracking plates requires Nuke X, which is the paid version of the software. That said, if you can't or don't want to sign up for the trial, we provide all of those camera tracks for you, so you can use those in the non-commercial version. That's no problem. Ayan has asked, can we save it and see it in offline mode just like YouTube? I think the same question was asked earlier. The answer there is no, not at the moment. You will need to have an active connection to the internet. But if you have internet like connectivity issues, that shouldn't be a problem because it will buffer the video.
Yep.
Cool. Well, I think please, if you have any questions, please ask them now, because I think we're pretty much done. At this point, we have 3 positions left in the course. So if you're interested, please send us an email to sales@mattepaint.com. I put the email address into the chat, so you can see it there. I'll drop it into the description later as well. But also, if now isn't the right time and you want to register your interest for the February intake, that'll be our next intake. Feel free to just say, hey, I'm interested. Send that through through by email, and we can get you down so that you don't miss out.
Yeah, I think we had like a couple of people were initially signed up from the first group, but they gonna end up taking this group. So it's
Yeah,
pretty common,
and we
pretty
have
common practice.
three or four people, I think, already signed up
Mhm.
for the February
Oh, okay.
intake. So um, uh,
Subtitles. We do have subtitles. They are auto-generated, though, right? So
yes, yes,
they might have some. I don't know if how good it generates based on the terms, but overall, I think it should be fine.
yeah,
There was no complaint so far, but I don't know how many people watched with the subtitles. But technically speaking, if you're using on a laptop or a tablet, you can use the headphones,
yeah, yeah.
unless there is the language problem, which is in this case, it still shouldn't be huge issue, but I don't know.
I think ultimately our feedback will be in English, so you
Yeah.
should be at least comfortable with English, so that so that the feedback that we do, which won't have subtitles, you can understand that. But if you are more comfortable with another language, then obviously we have a few of the subtitles there. Um, and Bell's also said, "I'm paying tomorrow. When can I start?" The next course will start on the 30th of this month, so it'll be in about 10 days.
Wait,
Um,
is it 30th? I thought it was first week of no, am I crazy?
it's the first week
Right,
of September, which
right.
is, yeah. I mean, it starts kind of 30th of
Yes,
August is a Monday.
yes, yes. You're
Um,
correct. Okay, sorry. Yeah, my mistake.
And I asked about receiving any emails before 30th of August. Yes, we will have, for once we reach the 20 slots and we're full, we'll be sending out a survey to ask you for your things like your time zone,
Hmm.
your self-assessed level of skill, any areas of concern, just all the general sense of general questions, as well as some like housekeeping logistics things like what's your Discord username, so that we can add your role in Discord as well. Um,
Yep.
yeah, cool. I think that's all the questions that we have. Alex, do you have any final things you want to mention?
I mean, in general, it's I would say the only thing from me based on the previous group is if you know there is a huge either you changing works or you know there is something huge coming at work or in life in general, I would might then consider, say, February or something. Is just we don't want you to sign up for the course and then miss most of the part just due to that, because you would still have an access to all the live streams and all the lectures and everything. But some people, they had time attended, but some people they didn't even have time to attend and ask questions, which is it's the big part of the course. It's not just knowledge. The knowledge part, it's still valuable because it's structured and it's composed in a way and it's introduced into the way it's easier to digest. But also one of the biggest part of this course is this Q&A sessions and interactions, and which goes on during the live sessions. And the more you can be active on that, the technically better for you, because that's where you can have all the your questions answered, and or maybe some problems solved or stuff like that. So that's the only thing for me, is to try to be as committed to the course as possible.
Yeah, yeah, agreed. Um, cool. Alex,
Hmm.
Bell Rodrigo says he saw you worked at Pixelmondo. He moved to Toronto to work in the virtual production at Pixo.
Oh
That's
yeah,
that's
yes,
cool.
yes, yeah. Virtual production, it's a big thing, and it's a little bit different from what we are doing, but essentially, yeah, it's VP, it's interesting. It's quite new. It's quite challenging, but it's coming, and it's very interesting.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we will leave it there. And if you have any questions, guys, like we're still available in the Discord server. There's a link higher up in the chat to that. I'll just paste it again for anyone who is currently watching. It'll be in the description later as well. Feel free to join that, and if you have any further questions, we're always available there to answer. And otherwise, we hope to see you in the course.
Yep. Sounds good to me. Yeah, thank you guys who
Thanks, everyone.
joined us. Yeah, and